Praise the Lord. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking Genesis chapter 46. But, rather than just viewing this as dusty, ancient history, I really want us to approach it as a deeply personal story. Think about it as a story about a father making a massive, completely life-altering migration in his twilight years. It's this incredibly compelling narrative, all about family, fear, faith, and the sheer complexity of packing up and moving to a completely foreign world.
Okay, let's dive right into this by putting ourselves right in the main character's shoes. I want you to ask yourself, would you uproot your entire life at an old age? Just imagine being Jacob for a second. You're advanced in years, you're completely settled in the land of Canaan. And suddenly, out of nowhere, you receive news that the son you've mourned for literally decades, the son you were absolutely certain was dead, is actually alive. And not just alive, but effectively ruling the entire nation of Egypt. You're basically being asked to leave absolutely everything you know behind and travel across this unforgiving terrain to a foreign land just to see him again. The emotional weight of that decision, it's just staggering. It's not merely a physical journey we're talking about. It's a monumental leap of faith.
Now, what's really fascinating here is exactly how Jacob handles this overwhelming moment. He doesn't just impulsively pack his bags and rush off to Egypt, even though he desperately wants to see Joseph. The text actually tells us that Jacob took his journey and came to Beersheba. And right there, he paused. He offered sacrifices to the God of his father, Isaac. He essentially sought divine clearance before crossing the border. And God actually met him there, speaking to him in visions of the night, calling out, "Jacob, Jacob." God gives him the ultimate reassurance. He says, "Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for there I will make you into a great nation. I myself will go down with you to Egypt." In moments of massive life transition, taking that pause for reassurance, it literally changes everything. And this brilliantly illustrates the level of support Jacob actually had for this journey. So, God gave the spiritual green light, right? But practically speaking, the logistics were covered by the most powerful man in the region. The text points out that the sons of Israel carried Jacob, their little ones, and their wives in the wagons that Pharaoh had sent. Think about this using a simple, modern, everyday analogy. If a head of state invites you to move to their country and sends their own private transport fleet to pack up your house, well, it's exactly like a modern leader hiring a premium, white-glove moving company for a VIP guest. This wasn't some rugged, desperate flight in the night. It was a highly organized royal relocation of their livestock, all their goods, and their entire family. So the absolutely crucial point here is the sheer scale of this relocation. I mean, this wasn't just a father taking a quick weekend road trip to see his son. Moving 70 people, plus all their livestock, their tents, their supplies, across that unforgiving ancient desert terrain, that was a monumental logistical feat. The text meticulously counts the descendants, concluding that all the persons of the house of Jacob who came into Egypt were exactly 70 individuals. These were literally the foundational building blocks of what would eventually become the entire nation of Israel, stepping into a completely foreign culture together. Looking at the intricate family tree detailed in the text, we can see exactly how this massive community moving into Egypt is divided among 4 matriarchal lines. So we have the sons of Leah, numbering 33, then the descendants of Zilpah, totaling 16, the sons of Rachel, which includes Joseph and Benjamin, plus Joseph's sons born in Egypt, making 14, and finally the sons of Bilhah, bringing 7 more. The really beautiful thing about the detailed naming of every single son and grandson here is that it highlights how every individual mattered in this massive 70-person caravan. They weren't just a random crowd, They were a highly structured, historic family unit. As this huge family finally approaches Egypt, Jacob once again shows some incredible wisdom and leadership. He doesn't just wander over the border blindly hoping for the best. The text says he sent Judah ahead of him to Joseph to show the way before him in Goshen. He delegates. He sends an advance party to pave the way and arrange all the heavy logistics right before what is definitely going to be a highly anticipated, incredibly overwhelming emotional reunion. And then the moment finally arrives. Joseph prepares his chariot and goes up to Goshen to meet Israel, his father. The text describes this incredibly emotional climax. Joseph presents himself, falls on his father's neck, and weeps a good while. I mean, wow. Decades of grief, decades of longing, and total separation are just instantly dissolved in that single embrace. And Jacob's response is one of ultimate fulfillment and absolute peace. He says, "Now let me die, since I've seen your face and know that you are still alive." It's honestly one of the most powerful, raw expressions of parental love and closure you'll find anywhere in ancient literature. But, the intense emotion of the reunion pretty quickly shifts right back to practical survival.
They are now immigrants living in a powerful foreign empire. So Joseph sits his brothers and his father down and starts coaching them on exactly what they need to say to Pharaoh. It's literally exactly like prepping a family member for a high-stakes job interview. Joseph basically says, listen, I'm going to go up and tell Pharaoh you're here. When Pharaoh calls you and asks, what is your occupation? You have to say, your servants have been keepers of livestock from our youth even until now. He is giving them this precise insider script to ensure their survival and prosperity in this brand new land.
And why was this specific script so absolutely crucial? Well, it's because of the very real-world tension of immigration and cultural clash. Joseph tells them to lean heavily into their identity as keepers of livestock, fully knowing that every shepherd is an abomination to the Egyptians. Now, you might be wondering, why on earth would you boast about being an abomination to a foreign ruler? Because it was an absolutely brilliant strategy. By maintaining their cultural identity as shepherds, they ensured they wouldn't just be assimilated into the Egyptian elite or scattered randomly across the cities. It guaranteed they would be given the land of Goshen, this incredibly fertile region where they could live together completely apart from the cultural center of Egypt. It allowed them to thrive and multiply while protecting their distinct heritage. When we step back and look at this entire historical account, we can actually draw 3 real-world actionable steps for our own daily lives when we're facing monumental changes. First step, pause before pivoting. Just as Jacob stopped at Beersheba to seek God's vision before leaving his homeland, we really need to take that time to seek clarity before rushing into a massive life change. Second, value your community. That meticulous counting of the 70 individuals, it reminds us that we don't transition in a vacuum. Our moves impact our families and our communities, and there is a real strength in moving forward together. And third, navigate new cultures wisely. Just like Joseph's highly strategic coaching about being shepherds, whenever we enter new environments or workplaces, we've got to be smart about how we present ourselves. We want to preserve our core identity while still securing our position. So I want to leave you with this final, thought-provoking question to ponder today. Whether it's a new job, maybe a cross-country move, or a major shift in your family dynamics, how will you navigate your next major life transition? Are you going to rush right in, or will you pause, gather your community, and strategize wisely just like Jacob and Joseph did? Really think about how these ancient principles can apply directly to your modern journey. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe.